Innovative leadership power energizes applications of your intellectual capital assets. Hello, everybody. This is Bill Thomas, and welcome to this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. Uh, we will begin in just a few moments, not too long from now, actually. And as is our custom, we like to await the joining of the webinar for people who are going to join us live. So we'll just wait a few more seconds and then we'll begin. Um, well, let's see. We got that going. We have that going. Good. Well, all of those good things are going. And because they're the good things and that they're going, I'm going to get our slides going as well. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure we got the right thing here. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. This is Bill Thomas, your host and presenter for today's episode. And for the next 14 or so minutes, we will learn why leaders must explore, pursue, and capture every asset of their intellectual capital if they wish to reach the promised lands of success. Perhaps you have perceived and taken notice of the fact that God Himself says that He is doing something new for the people of Israel and the rest of the world, but before they can own or even take advantage of and make use of that new thing, they are told that He expects them to take a journey, learn a new or different way of pursuing the promises God has for them. God even suggests that for Israel and the rest of the world to be in a position to perceive, acquire knowledge about, or become acquainted and knowledgeable about God's new thing, the people of Israel and the rest of us will have to be fed with and watered by the sustenance of abundant hope, faithful living, and their full appreciation of God's true nature and way of being. So, what can explorations help your leadership power to pursue? You could take an ontological journey like this map recommends by answering the questions about the roles you and your people need to perform, or evaluating the willingness of your team to pursue the ideas and the ideal aspirations of your strategy, vision, or mission statements. You will form, help communicate, and strengthen the identities and commitments of your partners or stakeholders, and improve the possibilities for successful achievement of your goals and desires. Because, as author Warren Berger writes in his Harvard Business Review article about why today's C-level executives need to be very curious, Berger quotes Walt Disney, the founder and CEO of the Disney Company, who told people that his company managed to keep innovating because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. But having that desire to keep exploring new paths becomes even more important in today's fast changing, innovation driven marketplace. The folks at this website have a model of 15 different types of intellectual capital. The vast majority of that capital is at significant risk because it's not actually owned by any company. Like those digital ones and zeros, it can disappear at any time for any number of reasons, such as price pressures due to offshoring, or disruptive technologies like cognitive computing, or people just plain up and quitting. And Dr. Art Murray explains that at least 80% of your organization's total value is made up of these intangible assets. Dr. Murray advises leaders to create a balance sheet of their intellectual capital assets. He says you should use the intellectual capital categories listed on that website, and then estimate the value of each asset by assigning a monetary value to it, along with assigning any other value that might be important to your company or industry, such as that intangible assets' contributions to society, sustainability, or strategic growth. Murray suggests that leaders also assess the value of their own personal intellectual capital assets. You would be surprised by the amount of hidden wealth you and your key people possess. The real value of your enterprise and the potential ability of your organization to stay ahead of the competition and competently respond to a wildly changing marketplace. Murray and other experts agree that money itself is becoming less stable. Tangible asset values are falling, and large portions of an organization's intellectual capital are at risk. That's three strikes, and we're in the late innings of our decades long transition to a knowledge based economy. Despite the clear and present danger of ever increasing risk exposure, it's astonishing how few organizations have even bothered to take inventory of those assets. Yet, on the tangible side, every PC, every peripheral like the printers and modems, etc., and smartphone, every desk is tagged and tracked in a database. But what about those hundreds of billions of dollars of intangible assets? In most cases, they're lumped into a few line items and perhaps a half page of footnotes in a financial statement. You would think that with so much riding on this particular class of asset, that companies would pay more attention. Leaders can use their abilities, skills, competencies, talents, strengths, and insights or understandings to assess or evaluate the level of risks for their four types of intellectual capital. That is, the four clusters of human, structural, customer, and strategic alliance capital assets. The website that you see on the right hand side says applied knowledge management comprises a range of strategies and practices used in your organization to identify, create, represent, distribute, and even sharing and adoption of insights and experiences to retain intellectual capital in an organization and to adapt to changing environments and markets. Most knowledge management systems only store knowledge and don't bother about capturing and making the captured knowledge reusable. Using the domains of human capital that are depicted on the left side of the screen, leaders can quickly and effectively discover where their captured intellectual capital has the highest potential for becoming structured and where the risk of loss, compromise, or control of that intellectual capital can be reduced or even eliminated. If the purposes and meanings of your leadership power applications were designed to serve the performances, innovative developments, and wealth generating potentials of the employees and other stakeholders in your organization, then what should your service offerings and tangible products be? I mean, shouldn't your leadership services enable the organization to achieve clearly defined goals? Shouldn't your leadership abilities be able to coach, train, and support the development of your intellectual capital, employee insights, and organizational experiences? Shouldn't your leadership activities help your people to capture and store their knowledge and make their know how reusable for others as they go about their work of creating better or improved services, products, and customer value propositions? Leaders can use their agency of signification to enrich, empower, experiment with, engage, and encourage their employees, stakeholders, and strategic alliance or vendor partnerships to improve the quality of their intellectual capital, increase the value of those intangible assets, and influence the expansion of their experiential learnings. Those five occupations of your leadership agency that we saw on the last slide, the enrichments, encouragements, empowerments, experiments, and engagements with your people, those five occupations are designed to help your leadership power applications build empathy for the points of view of other people, display commitment to your ideals and stakeholder insights, impact a sense of meaning for your policies and processes, and inspire trust in your intentions and integrity. Imagine if you could locate, unlock, and capture the intellectual capital assets of these three traits. You could identify, then find ways of organizing, processing, and then structuring the abilities, skills, and knowledge artifacts needed to generate strategic insights at will. You would know what techniques and strategies you need to teach, coach, and consult with your people to help them access and strengthen their most creative selves. Your explorations should have revealed the intuitive templates, technologies, and interpretative tools required to enhance the artistic flair of every mission critical task, delivery of superior services, and innovative developments that fuels your organizational growth and successes. Simply stated, if your leadership actions are focused then upon fulfilling one or more of these three purposes, then your leadership is guaranteed to achieve your desired results. If you examine the strategies, processes, techniques, and tools that you use to achieve these purposes, you will be well on your way to identifying the core assets of your own personal intellectual capital. The true purpose for your own personal intellectual capital assets is to generate goods and profits for the benefit of your organization, stakeholder communities, and society in general. As you process the raw materials of the various organizational experiences, research studies, and interviews, and any observed patterns or recorded trends you encounter, the value of your analytical, emotional, spiritual, and systems intelligence will expand the human, structural, customer, and strategic alliance capital and enable you to create purposeful, profitable, and productive structures of intellectual capital assets. You need beneficial streams of information to energize and supply energy to your interpretations, intuition, and innovations. That's the primary reason for assessing, evaluating, and rating and structuring all four types of your intellectual capital assets. Tabulating a balance sheet and accounting for the intangible assets of your organization and your own intellectual capital will provide you with the insight and understanding that you need to rank each asset from low to high based upon its risk of loss, compromise, or control. Because you will see an intellectual capital asset in terms of its vulnerability or possible loss, you will be better positioned to find ways to instantiate, capture, or structure whatever value that you can from those assets. This ends today's lesson. You're looking at the catalog of materials, training, and coaching support which are featured in my Leadership Power Paradigms Producer Tools program. You can see that this program is designed to dramatically improve your leadership performances and use your leadership strengths to comprehensively empower the achievements of your people. Right now, this program is available to you at my lowest possible price, so I urge you to visit the webpage at www.one-im.com/LPP-tools. That's the website that you see right in the middle of the slide, or uh, just look on the right-hand side of your screen and you can click on the Enroll and Get Started Now button that you see on the right side of your screen. That's the Enroll and Get Started Now button. And when you click on it, it will open up a new web browser tab or web browser window. And so that way you won't lose your place in the webinar today. And if you like what you read on that page, go ahead and get going now. Don't forget that there is my famous no questions asked, no risk to you money back guarantee for this program, so you really have nothing to lose by enrolling now in this awesome educational experience. And I'll just give you a moment to type in that URL if you're not if you're viewing us on the replay recording and you're not seeing us in our webinar control room there. Otherwise, if you are, just click on the Enroll and Get Started Now button that you see on the right side of your screen. And as you're doing that, and while you're doing that, I'm going to run back over to my control panel and send you the links to my two bonus gifts for to thank you for joining today's episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. The first one is the 5 leadership uplifter tasks. It's an infographic. It is a PDF document, and when you download it, you should print it out. It fits on one sheet of paper, so it'll only take one sheet of paper to print it. If you want to keep it on your computer, of course, you can always refer to it that way too, but I think it usually works best if you have at least a printed copy of that. And I encourage you to put that printed one sheet of paper on your desk or on a wall so that you can see it as you go about your day as a leader. And just remind yourself that, hey, listen, I need to perform one or more of these 5 tasks, and that way it will increase the effectiveness of your leadership actions. If you perform one or more of those 5 tasks in every one of your leadership acts. If you aren't doing one or more of those 5 tasks in your leadership actions, well, you're not likely to be as effective as you could be as a leader. Now, the second bonus gift that we have for you is the Words with Wisdom paper. It is an 8-page PDF document. Also, both of these are PDF documents, so they can be read by any computing device whatsoever, so that's not a problem. But the Words with Wisdom paper is 8 pages, and again, I encourage you to download it. Many people like to print it out, and that way you can take notes for yourself as you go through your leadership day and just refer to some of the principles and strategies and tips and techniques that are in that paper. Those usually come from either this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms and previous episodes of Leadership Power Paradigms. Again, these are 14-minute long webinars, so you heard my little beeper go off. I try to stick to the 14 minutes. In fact, I do, because you heard it go off after I said the lesson was over, so we were able to achieve it once again. But anyway, those are our 2 bonus gifts for attending today's episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. And once again, I'll encourage you to click on the Enroll and Get Started Now button. And of course, that will open up a new browser tab or a new browser window for you, so you won't lose your place. And also, if you happen to be joining us on the replay recording, why then You can also ask us questions. All you need to do is to type into the question box that you see on the right hand side of the screen. Just look for it. If you don't see it and you only see the Enroll and Get Started Now button, why just click on, there's a little arrow pointing down or pointing up, and just click on that and that'll reveal that. But the question box, if you have a question or a comment about leadership or management, whether we covered it in today's episode or not, just simply type in your question or comment into that box and click on the email us or email now or whatever it says about emailing. And when you click on it, what our system will do is it will say, wait a second, I know who that person is because you had to use your name and your email address to register for the replay recording or live session. So just click on the email us and it will send your email and your name along with the question that you type into the box. And then you will receive a reply back from me. Okay. And I reply to all the questions and comments that people put into that question area. So no worries there, and you don't have to type anything else but your question or your comment. Okay, so that makes it easy for you too. All right. Well, all of that said, I don't see any questions from the live audience today, but I look forward to receiving questions and comments from anybody who um, views the replay recording. And I thank each and every one of you for joining us in today's episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. My name is Bill Thomas. I've been your host and presenter for today's episode. God bless each and every one of you. Godspeed to you all. And I wish you all the very best of success in all of your leadership endeavors. Take care and be well.